Tuesday, October 23rd. Please stand for our invocation led by Reverend Derek Tucker, Union Baptist Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us invoke the presence of God. God, you said in your word that it is good, it is pleasant for us to dwell in unity. Now we pray that regardless of our political affiliations, that you will give the city council, the mayor, wisdom and knowledge to lead this city forward. Now we pray this prayer and we ask you to bless us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Ask you before we would sit down if we could observe a moment of silence. This request was made by the acting executive director over our public works. Over the weekend, a very hard-working young man under the employ of the city of Mobile was senselessly killed. A gentleman by the name of Justin Mooney. I had interacted with Mr. Mooney on several occasions, principally at street renaming ceremonies, things of that nature. I can remember him having such a vivacious laugh and grin. He took pride in his work. He enjoyed being around his fellow employees in the Public Works Department. Young man cut down even before the prime of his life in such a senseless manner. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to his family, to his fellow employees who will miss that very vivacious grin and laughter. And I'd ask that we would observe a moment of silence for one of our own who was senselessly killed, Mr. Justin Mooney. Thank you.
Roll call. Vice President Manzi.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Small.
Here.
Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's great to see all of you here at our council meeting on this Tuesday morning. The rules of the council are serious rules that I'm charged with enforcing, and we do have the necessary assistance if it's called upon. We ask first that you turn off all electronic devices before or upon entering the meeting. Any person desiring to address the council is asked to sign in indicating the resolution, ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, you are to state your name and your address. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk's office no later than 2 p.m. on the Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject that you would like to speak on must be identified, and it must be pertinent, and it must pertain to City of Mobile business. Any person who hadn't given that proper notice to the clerk's office will be allowed to speak. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 4 minutes. 1 minute will remain for summarizing. The second bell indicates that the time has expired. When addressing the council, there's to be no personal address to any individual council member. All statements are to be made to me, the chair, who will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and no public outcry allowed. Thank you again for your interest in your municipal government. Madam City Clerk?
Approval of minutes of October 16th.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved.
Communications from the mayor's office.
Nothing here, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. West.
Let's have the monthly finance report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As you know, our fiscal year expired on September 30th. We do have some revenue numbers in that I'd like to report to you and talk about what that might mean. For September, the month of September, we were $11,000 over September of the previous year in collections, so essentially flat on a total of $16 million worth of sales tax collections. You know, we maintain our books on an accrual basis. That's what municipal accounting requires, and yet you can imagine that it's impossible during any month to accrue things like sales taxes that aren't collected by us, are collected by third parties and then paid over the next month. So what we do each month is report to you on a cash basis, and then after October's collections are in, we reverse every month back 1 month to comply with the accrual accounting requirements. So we really won't know until the end of next month what our actual revenues were. We also accrue expenditures. Those are a little bit easier to do, although we've got a lot of work for fiscal 2018 to come up with a definite picture of what those accruals, especially at the year end, look like. I will tell you, while it's early and subject to audit, that the year ended up fairly stable. You know, we had a number of flat months early in the year. We had 3 good months leading up to and through August, and then a flat September so far. But it looks like the overperformance was enough to produce the carryover surplus that we're using in the 2019 budget. So early as it is, it looks like it's like a satisfactory result. But I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keisha Davis with Spire.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Keisha Davis with Spire. I handle governmental affairs. We would like to thank you so much for inviting us today to share with the public on how we are improving the customer experience, not only to the city of Mobile, but to the surrounding areas. We are located at 2828 Dauphin Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36606. And if I can just direct you to the presentation behind you. Today, we will have several representatives as we approach the cold weather season to talk about how we will not repeat things from last year. We will have Brian Patterson who will talk about our meter reading, David Williams with our customers, as well as Brian Rottenberry, who will talk about upgrading our pipelines throughout the area. Just to give you a recap of how we came to be, about 2 years ago, Mobile Gas, who has served the greater Mobile area for more than 180 years, we became a part of the Spire family. Spire, which is headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri, we serve nearly 2 million customers, homes, and businesses throughout 3 states, Alabama, Mississippi, and Missouri. We're considered one of the 5th largest natural gas companies in the United States. Here in Mobile, we service about 50,000 residential, industrial, and commercial businesses throughout the area. One of the things that we pride ourselves on being Spire is that we are constantly looking for ways to invest our innovation and technology to make sure that our customers have the best experience as possible.
Good morning. My name is David Williams. I'm, as Keisha said, the Director of Customer Service. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the difficult fall and winter that we had, some of the challenges that we experienced, and what we're going to do this year to make sure that that doesn't happen again. As you recall, we launched our Spire brand last fall. We worked hard on that. We were excited about the change. We were looking forward to sharing that with our customers, and then we stumbled right out of the gate, especially here in Mobile. Our bills had a new look to them. We were excited about the orange color. We thought it was real eye-catching. However, some of our customers didn't see the advertisement that we had around it, and it was confusing. We had an early cold snap that led a lot of calls into the call center. On top of that, we had some technology issues that caused our customers to have some disconnected telephone calls after they had waited a long time to talk to us. It got back to normal in December, and then in late December and early part of January, we had a really cold snap, record cold, drove a lot of high bills. People were afraid that we had changed our rates because of the new Spire brand, and they started calling us in January and February, and we had 2 record months of call volumes in January and February. We had increased our staffing by that point, but it wasn't sufficient to keep up with the call volume. And our customers experienced poor service. Frankly, they had to wait for 20, 30 minutes sometimes through to us, and then they didn't necessarily trust the information they were given. So it's pretty simple what we promised to do to rectify that situation, and we've done it. We've hired more people. We have almost double the amount of agents that we had the same time last year. And we worked hard this summer to train those agents to be able to handle not only Alabama calls, but the special nuances of the regulatory environment here in Mobile. And we've done that, and we're ready to go. This fall and this winter, we expect we're going to have much better performance for our customers, and we're excited about that prospect. I'm actually going to turn it over to my coworker, Brian Patterson, to talk about meter reading and billing issues.
And hello, how you doing? As Dave mentioned, I'm Brian Patterson, and I oversee the meter reading, billing, and payment operations at Spire. And today I really want to focus on really what our current meter reading and billing practices are. And then also I want to briefly talk about some meter reading technology right around the corner, some new walk-in payment centers, and then all our customer-facing portal, which is called My Account. As this slide kind of states, we all want the same things. We understand the importance of providing accurate bills in a timely manner. In Mobile, we're currently still reading meters on foot manually, and each month we have 21 billing cycles. Within each of those billing cycles, we have 13 or 14 routes each day that we need to complete. Other utilities that are still reading manually on foot, some will read every other month, some will read every quarter, but we are committed to obtaining those reads every single month. Along with manual reading does come some errors, so human error will come into play sometimes. And the biggest thing that we need to focus on, and we've recently made some changes, is some checks and balances within our back-end system. So as those reads are obtained, they'll go through some checks, and we actually are looking now, what is the usage at this actual premise last year? Does this usage today fall in line with last year with a little variance, plus or minus? And if the answer is yes, then that bill will go out and everything should be okay. If it falls outside of that variance, there should be a billing exception. We call them implausibles, and then we have somebody work those. That's what we're currently doing today, but just right around the corner, third bullet point down there is new technology. We're looking at some automated meter reading. There's a couple different ways to deploy that and a couple different versions of it. We have some in different regions, and we're looking at what would be the best automated reading for this region here in Mobile. So more to come on that very shortly, but that does provide more accurate reading, provides some functionality for our customers. Also, it doesn't surprise customers when meter readers are showing up in their yard, whether it's late in the afternoon on a Friday or maybe even trying to obtain a read on a Saturday. One other thing that I really wanted to touch on is right now we have about 30 payment centers all around the Mobile area, and we have received some complaints that some people didn't like some of those locations. And I'm proud to say that we have a contract now We signed the contract. It probably won't be until the beginning of next calendar year, but we'll be accepting authorized payments at the Walmart locations here in the Mobile area. So once again, that will be not until the beginning of next year. And just one last, we're always looking at how can we help customers self-serve. We know there's some customers that want to call in and talk to a contact center representative. We know there's other customers that would prefer to do everything online. We're consistently trying to enhance that experience for the online services that they have. So if they prefer to self-serve, they don't need to call in. And with that, I'll turn it over to Brian Rotenberry.
Brian.
Oh, sorry.
I think I may have already notified you, but I had some complaints, and you may have already corrected this, but I want the citizens out there to know that I am addressing it with you all, that your meter readers didn't have badges nor uniform. So people were feeling that they had criminals in the backyard because your meters around, most of them around the back. And several of them went outside, and this stranger was there, and he said he was with Spire. Said, "Show me your ID, your badge." They didn't have nothing. Said they didn't have no that color that they didn't have that color uniform on. So they called me to say it was criminals neighborhood, so they alerted the whole neighborhood. I think an easy fix is to put something around the neck to say Spire, on a Spire shirt.
So I think I know the exact complaint that you're speaking of, and everybody should have the Spire badge. So whether it's an internal employee, a contractor, they should all have Spire badges on at all times.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brian Rotenberry. I'm actually in charge of the Spire replacement project for Mobile. We're currently working on about 25 miles of pipeline replacement in the Mobile area. Spire has, over the last year, replaced and retired over 35 miles of pipe and upgraded our facilities over this period of time. And with that, there's a lot of things that need to take place. As we're upgrading our pipelines and our facilities, this means a lot to the residents and the customers in the Mobile area. Our upgrades will bring a higher flow of gas and new system upgrades for all the things that we do. New systems are replaced. Over 1,000 customers have received new lines as this has taken place. One of the things that we do know that with this amount of work that we're doing is that communication is key. So over this period of time, we're doing a lot to try to enhance our program by giving literature to each of the customers that we work in the areas, and also communicating with the council as these projects come into place, actually sending information to you. One of our jobs is that as these projects are on board and going on, we actually try to make sure that we're communicating every step of the way with the customers in the areas, and making sure they know that we're here for the duration of the project. We have to do a lot of things that's required by the city as far as temporary paving and restoration. So we monitor these things even after the project is over. We're required to wait 90 days before we can actually have things permanently repaved. So with that said, all these things that we do ongoing, we try to communicate with the customers and let them know what our plan is throughout the project. But we're here to finish the project even after the contractors have completed work. We make sure that we try to stay on top of that, make sure that the customers know that we're here for that. Thank you.
I have a question. Can consumers go online and see where you're actively working in a project or on a project?
I don't know if that's actually in Mobile yet, but in Spire, Alabama, and our other areas, we do have a website.
That'd be nice.
that it was actually, and that is something too that I actually utilize your website to actually know what district I'm working in.
Right.
So I actually look at your is in your mapping where we go to my place, and I can actually get the customers' names or the addresses of where we're working and send it to each of you, so you guys actually know exactly where we're working.
And I have a quick comment too. I received an email, I'm not sure if it was from you, okay, about a project going on in my district, and you were also reaching out to the people in the neighborhood, which I really appreciate, because normally they'll just call me and say what's going on. So I appreciate you doing that. But for the people in the neighborhood, just in case you were wondering when resurfacing was going to come to District 7, Spire is in the middle of a project, and we don't want to resurface our streets and then have Spire come back and do their work, which requires them to cut the streets. So we are a little behind on when our resurfacing would normally be done in District 7. I really generally will work through Nick Amberger because he's in touch with you all, and so Nick gives me the timeline. So we may be looking at December or so before we see the resurfacing actually come to District 7, even though you see resurfacing going on around the city. So hang tight, it's coming. And it will be better because, again, one of the big complaints is we resurface streets and then one of the utilities comes along and digs it up. So we don't want that to happen. So we are coordinating our efforts as best we can to make sure that doesn't happen again.
And Ms. Gregory, the right-of-way department works really well with us, and we meet each month to talk about these things.
Yeah.
We try to get their plans of their paving so we can stay ahead of those things, because there's nothing worse than for the city to repave a road and us to have to come in and start making maintenance cuts.
Yeah. Well, exactly. You and every other utility in town. So,
so with these
thank you
improvements,
for
we're
that.
hoping that
Appreciate it.
take place.
If I could, I want to make a comment. Well, I guess a couple of comments. I'm sorry, well, you're not finished with your presentation tonight.
Yes, sir. I'm through with my part.
Always. Yes, ma'am. I can wait. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. In a nutshell, the reason why we're here today is because we do care about the 50,000 customers and many more, not only in the city of Mobile, but in the greater Mobile area. One of the things that have come up over the past couple of months is, do we still care about the community? Yes, we do. Mobile Gas, we've been partners for 180 years, and Spire has not let us change that as well. Spire is a great community partner as well. We still volunteer service, we still sponsor things, and I know we're not supposed to address the city council directly, but Councilman Richardson, we are a sponsor of the Moon Pie Drop that's coming up in January. But just to let you know, we are constantly working and striving every single day. We have a great team of employees all across the area that is constantly looking for ways to make sure that the customer experience does not fall short of what we've been performing for the last 180 years. Thank you so much for letting us come and share this information with you today.
Vice President, I'd like to say to Ms. Keisha that we really do appreciate your transparency between Spire and the Mobile City Council. You did a good job when you were working for Mobile Gas, and I'm seeing that you're doing just as well as a job as with Spire. And we do appreciate the communication between Spire and the City Council.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes, I would like to join Councilman Small in saying we appreciate all what you do, and I appreciate you arranging, after we complained so much to you, you arranged to bring your corporate leaders to our office so we can discuss some of the customer issues. And since that moment, I have seen a 180-degree change in what is happening out there. For instance, last week, a citizen called at 1751 Main Street saying that they had the smell of gas. Okay, so what I did, I notified Brian, I notified all of y'all. And within an hour, you all had a team on the scene. And in fact, it was leaking under the ground. They dug it up, fixed it, put it back, and they didn't leave until all was done. And I would just want to say this, the right-of-way ordinance require that when you dig up our streets, and when you put whatever you put back, when you cut into the street, it has to be smooth. It has to comply with what you dug up. Otherwise, you can't go back with no rock, holes and rocks and So I even called about that because I rode over it and it was bumpy. And when I went back the next day or two, and I couldn't hardly tell where you all cut because it was smooth. So I appreciate you all coming back, fixing it. Most of the time, the reason we have to resurface our streets is because the utility companies dig it up and they don't go back with what they found. They go back with something less, and we have to live with it. That day has come and gone. We're not doing that anymore. And I appreciate the response I've gotten when I reported that you all need to come back or you all need to respond in each instance. When we found out who to call, he's your first. And once we found out who to call, who to contact, everything changed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vice President.
Mr. Small.
And I do appreciate the upper management too also. I mean, you all came last month when we had questions, and you all back again today for the citizens of Mobile. And we do appreciate you coming out to Mobile and talking to the citizens. Thank you all so much also.
If I could comment.
Mrs. Rich?
Thank you so much. Yes, and I'll echo the sentiments of thanking the upper management for reaching out and talking to us and being so candid about your initial landing here, because that's what rang our phones. But we appreciate all of the efforts that you've taken to provide the services that we know our customers deserve. And one of the things, I know that the resting period for once you're digging and doing your project is the 9 days, and the more information that we could let our citizens know that what they're looking at is a temporary patch for that period to make sure it's done correctly, and then the permanent, surface and restoring everything to its original condition. So that's just information that really would help a lot of the communication, is understanding that aspect of what it is you're doing out there when you're making those improvements. But thank you so much, Keisha.
You're absolutely welcome.
Well, I want to join my colleagues also in thanking all the management from Spire for coming out, both on last month and today. We know that you are a new energy provider, utility provider here in the city of Mobile, and we look forward to a long relationship. I think one thing that helped make your landing smoother, despite some of these issues that you referenced, was having some continuity in the person of Ms. Keisha Davis. We know her. The community knows her. We trust when she gives you a word on something, she pulls through with it, and I have no doubt that extends to you all as well. And so I just wanted to make certain that I said that publicly, and just echo the sentiments of my colleagues in having some continuity in Ms. Davis. I think that's important. It has been important, and it will continue to be important. My initial concerns have been about the payment centers and the reports that I have had from my mature citizens rather, about having to go into certain places in order to pay. I'm happy to hear about some of the new availabilities. I wish something could be worked out with malls, where they have that center right there at Spring Hill and Pine, that seniors are already walking in and paying their water bill. It'd be an ideal place for them to just knock out the gas bill as well, so that they don't have to go into service stations in order to pay their bills. Places like Northside Check Exchange, fine. Ms. Powell and that organization has done an outstanding job. But complaints I hear about service stations walking in paying their gas bill. So I'm happy to hear that some progress is being made on that. I know it's not going to all be perfect day one, and that you all are partners. We've got that park that Spire is responsible for right there at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue and Broad. It's a beautiful place. It could really be a great amenity at that corner of the city. Would love to have some continued conversations about how we build it out. It's nice, but we can make it nicer, really make it a Spire project. And I believe that's what you all want to do, and I know that's what the community wants you to do. So thank you, Ms. Davis, and to all of you for coming. Any further comments?
May I just briefly, if you...
Mr. Williams, yes, sir.
It was not too long ago that I called Keisha, and we were having perceived issues in one neighborhood. And I don't know that we have many organizations, often large organizations like this are accused of not caring. And it has been evident throughout this process that you do care, care enough to come up, hey, we made a mistake, and without excuse, talk to us about what you're doing to make it right. I think this is a great success story. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in our town. And the response, as my colleagues have said, has just been incredible, and I could not be more grateful to your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Mr. Chairman, I made sure to go ahead and put it out there. We want the hot dog cart back. I mean, what happened with the hot dog cart, Keisha?
We are in discussions about that.
All right.
All right.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Proper motion is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Can we get our lights on?
David, do you mind?
Let that be light.
Thank you.
It's kind of intimate in here right now. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appeals, we have requests for waiver of the noise ordinance on October 27th on Old Military Road, November 17th on Halls Mill Road. Are we laying that one over?
No, I'd like to carry that one over.
You like that? Okay. So we'll exclude that. We'll take that one separately. And November 2nd on Coffin Street, and October 29th on Dr. MLK Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion, second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Move to lay over on Halls Mill Road.
On
For
November
1 week.
17th. Okay.
Second.
Proper motion and second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Public hearings today is a public hearing to determine if the structure located at 1709 Griffin Street, 1917 Booker Street are public nuisances and ordering them demolished.
So move.
Second. Well, these are
Public
public
hearing.
Oh,
hearings.
public hearing, I'm sorry.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak in a public hearing for any of the properties referenced? Anyone here that would like to speak in these public hearings? If not, public hearings are closed.
Public hearing to consider granting a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Michael Dory doing business as Wild Native to operate a boat charter service.
Is there anyone present that would like to speak in this particular public hearing? If not, the public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to consider granting a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Curtis Carcom III doing business as ANC Net to operate a shuttle service.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak in this particular public hearing? Yes, I would. Yes, sir. Good morning.
My name is Curtis Carcom.
Curtis
I'm the owner of the business. I applied for them.
We need your name clearly and your address, please.
My name is Curtis Carcom.
Yes, sir.
Address 654 Townsend Circle, Chickasaw, Alabama.
Thank you.
And I would just like to say that I would appreciate it if the council would consider my application for a certificate of public convenience in the shuttle service.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Good luck.
Any questions for him?
I mean.
Thank you.
Vice President,
Mr. Small?
I'd like to ask, is there anyone here that representing the Wild Native Inc. operating boat charter? Okay, I just was trying to see exactly what it is, but I mean, it's good. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak concerning that particular public hearing? If not, the public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Noel Black.
Good morning. My name is Noelle Black, and I'm with the American Cancer Society, located 1110 Montlamar Drive here in Mobile. And I just came to speak about our Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk that is coming up this Saturday in Danville Square at 8 o'clock. I brought some brochures about it. And just to say thank you to the Mobile for letting us do this. This is our 11th annual walk. Last year we had 8,500 participants, a little over that, and we're hoping to increase those this year. And I just wanted to speak to you, if you haven't made a donation to breast cancer, to our Making Strides walk, you can go to makingstrides.org. Breast cancer is, something that doesn't just affect women. There will be 266,000 women diagnosed with breast cancer this year. There will also be 2,500 men that will be diagnosed with breast cancer, new diagnosis. 4,000 of those women will be right here in Alabama. So it's very close to home. As you may know, on the city council, it is not a fun battle. And with the money that the Making Strides here in Mobile, the money goes right back into our community. We give rides, we provide transportation, overnight lodging to people that are fighting breast cancer. We have a wig closet. We have programs like Reach to Recover, which helps women to peer one-on-one with someone who's already survived breast cancer and to give them hope and understanding to know that they're not fighting this alone. We have lots of teams here in Mobile. You can go on there and you can donate to a team. You may have a coworker, a sister, a friend, a wife, and it could, affect you. This doesn't just affect the people that are fighting breast cancer now, but it could be 10 years down the road. The woman that gets diagnosed with breast cancer needs what we're doing today, further research. Even 10 to 15 years ago, a diagnosis of breast cancer could be a death sentence. But now there is hope. There are so many more things that have been researched and medications, and it's all because of funding from walks like this. And we just want to reach out to you on the city council and everyone in here to step up and go online, come out and walk. It is a family-friendly event. It starts at 8 o'clock. You can go online and register, or you can register that morning. We will have bands. We'll be set up in Danville Square. You can start registering at 6:45, and we will have bands along the way, water stations along the way. Palmetto Street is always a really big participant. They do Palmetto on Pink, and there's a little buzz in our ear. There's going to be a flash mob at some time in the walk, but really it's just to bring awareness to everyone fighting breast cancer that they're not alone. And if it hasn't affected you, it probably will. It affects just about everyone in our community, and it's just really important to get out there and raise those funds. Last year we raised $197,000 just with our walk here in Mobile, and this year our goal is $250,000. So we have one more week, and so we just ask you to get on there and help us support that, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you all heard from me about this already, but I really want to thank Noelle for coming. I invited them to come and speak so that we could remind everybody about the walk on Saturday. And everybody's invited to come, get your pink on, and come walk. I will be there with a long pink wig, so that ought to be entertaining if nothing else. I don't know if everybody will recognize me, but I will be there sporting my pink. So come on out and walk with us and just really enjoy the day. Also, I want to say that what Noelle was talking about with everyone being diagnosed is so true. Another friend of mine was just diagnosed. She started her chemo on Monday. So it's constant, it's a battle, and it affects both men and women. All families tend to be affected one way or the other. And somebody told me early on, if you live long enough, you'll probably wind up with cancer of some sort. So doesn't sound good, but probably true, so we really need to get out and support this effort. Go online and donate. It's really easy to do, and sign up to walk. So
Yes.
I hope to see you all there.
Thank you. And if you have any questions, you can contact American Cancer Society on Montlamar Drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Reynolds.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
My name is Greg Reynolds. My address is 255 Conception Street. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Historic Mobile Preservation Society Board in regards to overlay. I just wanted to give you an update from 2 weeks ago. We have received approximately $20,000 in pledges from private citizens and businesses to help keep Oakley open. But even with the $30,000 performance contract from the city, that still leaves us $27,000 short of the minimum we need to keep Oakley open. So we are here today asking that each city council member consider pledging some of their discretionary funds to assist in our effort to keep Oakley open. The mayor stated that if HMPS could not keep Oakley open, the city would step in, but in our opinion, it would cost the city 4 times as much a year to operate Oakley. The mayor also suggested that the city would possibly start to pay the utilities and insurance, and this would cost approximately $17,000 a year, and that would be a tremendous help to Oakley. HMPS has been engaged in making improvements to Oakley. Several years ago, $175,000 was raised to redo Cook's House, and HMPS is dedicated to operate Oakley and make upgrades. But at this time, we need your help to keep Oakley open. In the last several weeks, the city has finally power washed the exterior, which was covered in green mold, and have also rehung some shutters. And we appreciate those things that are being done, but there are still a lot of deferred maintenance items that need to be addressed. Again, we are asking each city council member to consider pledging some of their discretionary funds to help us save Oakley. And I have a letter for each of you for that. Ms. Lisa. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Okay. Tom Felder.
Madam City Clerk.
Yes, sir.
We have a series of speakers that are here to speak relative to GovQuest.
Yes.
I'd like to just make a statement before they come. To all, I see many of my friends, many friends in the audience here that are concerned relative to GovQuest, and this council is certainly going to listen intently to all commentary offered today as it relates to GovQuest, but we want to also make it known that we passed the budget, and any amendments to the budget are initiated by the administration. If the administration, if Mayor Stimson and his administration offers an amendment to the budget, at that time the council would consider it. We're certainly going to listen to all the commentary today as we've been listening to the community's commentary since the budget passed. And even prior to that, I'm happy that we've gotten this heightened engagement from GovQuest, because that's something that has anemically missing in the dialogue between the council and GovQuest. So all of this is good. We're going to listen intently to every speaker, but all budget amendments are initiated by the administration, and if one is initiated, I believe that the majority of this council would be receptive to that initiation. And I just wanted to kind of say that because we have several speakers, and I know that this is an item of keen interest to a lot of individuals in this audience today. Madam City Clerk, I'm sorry.
Tom
Felder.
Good morning. I'm Tom Felder. I'm the CEO of Commonwealth National Bank, and I'm also the Chief Credit Officer for Commonwealth. We are the only minority-owned bank in the state of Alabama. We are the only bank in the lenders group that's headquartered in Mobile. Commonwealth, of course, is an old bank. It's relatively young when it comes to minority-owned banks. It's about 42 years old. It's been situated in the Pritchett community, in the Crichton community, since it was chartered. The bank, of course, was chartered by the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, which is a division of the United States Treasury and the state of Alabama banking department, so Alabama could have a minority-owned bank. We are a commercial bank, a community bank, very small. We use the community bank business model, make loans and receive deposits, and in our case, we are also what you refer to as a community development financial institution. We're the only community development financial institution, I think, probably in Alabama. We target low and moderate income neighborhoods, especially the very low neighborhoods who don't have access to banking services and products or capital. This is what we do. This is what we have always done. We serve underserved markets, again, and populations, right from Mobile. We get involved with other banks around here. The lender group for Gulf Quest consists of 9 banks, 9 institutions. Of course, we're the smallest institution to get involved with this $5.5 million credit. This credit, our portion of the credit is very material to our institution. It's very material to our charter and to our community. I work every day with the guys from Regions and Compass Bank and South Core Bank and the other banks involved with this credit, and we all have relationships from a banking point of view. And the bank got involved in this particular situation because it was the right thing to do to try to help our community and to help the museum, but it was outside of our business model. Our portion of this credit, which is well over $500,000, is what the bigger banks spend on coffee and sweet tea. It's not even material to them, but it's material to us, and it's material to the community. So we encourage you, the council, to work with the mayor and amend this budget for 2018-19. Hopefully the mayor will offer an amendment. The Commonwealth Board of Directors, we are supportive of it. We have a vital interest in the museum, of course. And again, it's one of our largest credits in our bank. The board has spent a lot of time working through these issues with the lending group. But again, we are a minority-owned bank. Our stock is privately held and closely traded. It's been that way since the bank was chartered 42 years ago. We don't want to go back and change our business model at this time in our life to accommodate, if it comes to that, the bank having to make other decisions and write this credit off of our books. It cannot afford. The loan loss reserve for our bank, the reserve we use to set aside to handle defaulted loans and so forth, cannot absorb the hit that it will take from this. And Commonwealth, Gulf Quest is not that far off. It's some real pros there that really knows what they're doing. And it's good to see our kids come visit the museum. It really is. They're not that far off. Just need a break or two, and they can get on with making this an ongoing, viable concern that can cash flow and pay their bills in a business-like manner. And they're not walking away from anything. These guys are real pros. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Richardson.
I would just like to add that Commonwealth is the oldest bank in the city of Mobile. There's no bank in operation in the city of Mobile. It started in 1976. All of those banks have been gone or changed to some other bank purchased them. So I just want you to know that 2 of the branches, one in Tobinville, one in Crichton, District 1, one in Tobinville, is where the first started as a trailer at the same site in Tobinville, across from the police precinct. That's where in 1976. The reason I know because I was part of the people who organized it. I just want to say that Commonwealth is the oldest bank in the city of Mobile.
Kenyon Brown.
Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Most of you know my name is Kenyon Brown. I'm from Spanish Fort, Alabama. Previously served as the U.S. Attorney for this region. And I want to thank this distinguished council for giving me the opportunity to come and say a few words on behalf of the Gulf Quest Museum. I want to take a moment and ask our Gulf Quest board and employees as well as supporters to stand, if you would. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm probably one of the newest members of the Gulf Quest board, just joining over this past summer. But I'm excited and really honored to serve on that board in order to further serve the people of Mobile and this region to help Mobile continue to be one of the best places to live in America. The Gulf Quest is an iconic symbol of Mobile's historic success and significance. Currently, the Port of Mobile ranks as the 9th largest port in the country by tonnage, with a trade volume of 63.4 million tons. The economic impact of the port is far-reaching. The Port of Mobile is served by over 100 foreign shipping lines, 12 towing companies, 65 firms or trucking firms, and 5 major railroads. This amounts almost to 135 direct and indirect jobs here in the Mobile region. Also, the port roughly has an impact, indirect and direct, of $487 million in terms of tax benefit to the state of Alabama. The Alabama State Docks have an estimated impact on the state of $22.4 billion. Historically speaking, the Second World War transformed Mobile into a shipbuilding juggernaut, becoming one of the nation's greatest maritime arsenals. Between 1940 and 1943, some 89,000 maritime jobs were created, many for African Americans, making Mobile one of the most crowded cities in America at that time, expanding its population by more than 60% than what it had been in the immediate prior years. These are our collective stories, and the Gulf Quest is the centerpiece archive to tell our stories and demonstrate our stories to our community, the region, the state, and the international community. We understand clearly as the board that we have to do a better job of communicating with the City Council to keep you apprised of positive developments as well as challenging circumstances. We understand that we have to more thoroughly participate in the city's budget process, similar to other like entities. We understand that with a relatively large dedication of scarce city resources, you need to occasionally see the good work that we're doing firsthand. And we've been negligent in this, and we acknowledge that. But we will do better going forward. We understand that despite having a diverse board and employees at different points in time, we have to continually strive that the board and the employees represent the diverse community that Mobile is. It's with these thoughts and action points in mind that we ask you to join us in asking Mayor Stimson to offer a budget amendment to restore the full funding that the Gulf Quest had previously received. We understand that the city cannot and will not support this type of funding indefinitely. We are in full agreement with you on that. However, the Gulf Quest is still financially recovering and needs additional time in order to achieve its financial independence goals. As you will hear from a few of my colleagues, there are a lot of positive things to talk about financially with respect to the Gulf Quest Museum. However, without your full-throated support, limited time support, we unnecessarily risk the Gulf Quest becoming an albatross or a bad omen hanging around our collective necks for years. The Golf Quest cannot fail. And again, the Golf Quest is the centerpiece archive to tell our story. And we need your assistance in making the Golf Quest the gem that it can be on the Gulf Coast and in our region and in our state. Thank you.
I just want to thank you. You mentioned that you're a new person on the board, and I'm sure they welcome all the assets that you'll bring to that board. Are you familiar with the resolution that the board entered into with the city for operating and the agreement, since it is a city building?
Yes.
Okay. So you know pretty much what the responsibilities are?
Yes.
Of each entity?
Yes.
Okay. Just didn't know if you were aware of them.
I am. Thank you.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Yes. And now I'm going to ask another board member. Okay.
Patrick Wilson.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Good morning. Patrick Wilson, 58 Kingsway. Mr. Chairman, Council, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak today, obviously, as trustee with Gulf Quest. To segment what was just said, we understand completely there's a communication issue. We, with our varied board of 40-plus people in y'all's day operations, we selectively in the beginning almost wanted to stay out of the politics and the lobbying of that effort. We now know we can't give you enough information, and that's easy enough to do. We look forward to it. I think we've already reached out on several fronts, and we're indeed going to do that. I'm one of a couple of speakers. We hope to load you up with a lot of information today. It's astounding with this is not an uncomplicated situation. Partnerships, financing, and so forth. But we want to be quite frank with you where we are, some of the good endeavors we're doing, and how intricate it is as far as we've come to try and finish this out and become viable. You know, we understand too that the financial, dependency on the city needs to be waned, and that's our goal. And we understand where we are. We are at $60 million of funding of a $67 million project. We hope in that 2 or 3 year period we get to that place where we are dependent, we are opening up the waterfront, we are more viable in the economy, the commerce of Mobile, with respect for what y'all can expect out of us and what we can do. That's our goal as y'all's as well, so we look forward to doing that. You know, with the uniqueness of what we're bringing on the waterfront, it's amazing. I come here today as a bar pilot, member of the State Pilots Commission. It's quite unique. Each city can do different things, and we're bound by Mile River. You just heard we're the 9th biggest port in the country. A lot of people don't understand that, but it's special. It's our heritage. We've been here for several hundred years, and what we do and have the footprint and be able to bring our the citizens, the children down there, show them, what Mobile is all about, be right there, see it, and in this building, it's remarkable. The people we bring that see it, everybody leaves astounding. I mean, we have state-of-the-art simulators, stuff that we train on all over the world, but what we get to expose kids on, which is unique. It's not your standard curriculum. They get to see it at a young age. It's impressionable. Hopefully it'll bring them and introduce them to what is Mobile and maybe their calling as they move forward in their career. To reflect to the schools, we're all, as many of the projects y'all oversee, it's a huge endeavor. Everybody tries to make that impact. And on the waterfront, myself, we've seen, like with the Battleship or the consortium of universities and the whole state Dauphin Island Sea Lab, everybody wants to do that. In our construction, we have multiple classrooms. We have designated cafeterias. We have a curriculum that works with each student and what they're doing in the school system, and we've had a great impact. Even with the challenges of having to cut our budget to make things go with our marketing, it hurts our message. It certainly hurts y'all, and we respect that it leaves y'all limited being able to reach out to your constituents. But we have had, since 2017, we had 10,000 students that came. We had just a great push for people that wanted to come, some that couldn't come. We had GoFundMe pages. We were able to reach out and get assistance in this, get help with grants. Just this year, or until the end of the year when we close 18, we still have 2,500 more students to come. 1,000 of them are Title I students. It's been a great impact, and they've loved it. We've had a positive response for many. And in doing that, in our building, we do have the gap to finish this. It started with major fundraising, and now building done, we've moved into tenants and branding. We don't want to just put our square footage out there. We want to bring somebody in that can truly brand this. It's an entertainment venue, and it should be. It's world class. part of that is finishing this out with our rooftop, with, and you'll hear more about this from some other speakers, our cafe and so forth. We have engineering RFPs that are out now. In that world, it doesn't happen fast, which goes back to our 2 or 3 year period why it's so vital to keep our doors open and keep going. And part of our phrasing right now in front of us, we have been approached, not going out but coming to us, Dr. E.O. Wilson, son of Mobile, Hall Professor, Pulitzer Prize winner. His foundation has a wonderful statue bequeathed to us. We want to have an event for multiple foundations there. This is part of almost the string of pearls here with starting at the cruise terminal, including us, Cooper Park, along with the University of Alabama tenant, which wants to do way more than just be a tenant here. We have opportunities that are abound, and we know we need to do that. And this board has stepped up and raised over $10 million. So all the pieces of the puzzle have to do this for a project that size. It's enormous. But for us to have that on the waterfront is pretty remarkable. But I would like to echo the same thing. We understand that this is a key part of this funding, and we do ask that we are going to join. We would certainly reach out and move forward with helping y'all to reach out to the mayor in amendment fashion to help us restore our funding, because we're close. We feel we can do it, but most importantly, we appreciate your time, and we heard your sentiment, and we look forward to working with you in any way we can moving forward. And certainly quarterly is as works best. So we're proud of what we've done, and we want to make y'all part of it. You're the benefactor. Thank you.
I have a question. I don't know if you have this answer. You had the student number. Do you have a number on the last year's ticket sales to the general public?
I will not give you an accurate number. We'll start to get it to you. I don't know. And I can't tell you in moving forward with us opening, with the working with the employees staying open 6 days a week. It was tremendous. It helped us. It helped it staying viable. So now the board is working to put away debt. As far as the numbers themselves, I would have to guess. We can easily get that number, but I don't have it offhand.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
Any further questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Marietta Urquhart.
Good morning.
Good morning. Marietta Urquhart, 4753 Bexley Lane, Mobile, Alabama. I'm here as a member of the Gulf Quest Board to speak to you all this morning about a couple of things that I think you'll find exciting. But first, I want to apologize. I'm going to talk about a new tenant, and I did them a disservice, you a disservice, and the board a disservice by not speaking to you individually ahead of time. I thought I was doing the right thing. It was an economic development situation, and I wanted to let them make the announcement. But today, I'm going to talk to you about it. And the new tenant at Gulf West is the University of Alabama system. At the University of Alabama, and they're going to open a transportation institute. So let me tell you a little bit about it, and I hope you'll join me in being excited about this news. The University of Alabama has leased office space on the second floor of the museum to serve as headquarters for the University of Alabama Transportation Institute. Now, a real estate professional would tell you that this is a dream tenant. They're paying market rent. They're providing their own tent finish in a Class A manner, and they bring a wonderful brand to the site, a real estate professional's dream. The Institute at the University of Alabama is a planning, research, and policy resource to advance a 21st century transportation system. ATI, as they call it, brings together nationally recognized research and development industry professionals seeking innovative solutions to the challenges of building and maintaining a transportation system that provides safety and mobility for Alabama citizens while providing efficient freight moves, stimulating economic growth, and conserving energy resources. Those are their words and their academics. In a minute, I'm going to explain what it really does. We have a new director. His name is Dr. Sashi Nabasan. And he looks forward to offering support for significant engineering, maintenance, manufacturing, and technical training activities for transportation, as well as activities in the financial, tourism, and service sectors. He and his team are already at work. They've not opened their office yet, but they're already at work. They're working with the Airport Authority and several other transportation entities in the city. Now, soon we have an announcement and open house, and we will certainly invite you all as honored guests. We also will have federal and state officials there. It's important nationally and for the state. They will attend, and I think it will be an exciting day. But now I want to tell you what I really think it's going to mean to us. First, the Institute will give entities, including the state docks and the airport authority, help with their economic development activities, which may include research activities, more importantly, help with federal grants, as well as workshops and training as appropriate to the needs of these industries. Two, the Institute will use Gulf Quest for seminars, workshops, and other events that will lead to more revenue for the museum. So they're not only paying rent, they will also rent other parts of the museum as needed, so more revenue. Third, the presence of the University of Alabama in the museum will bring more notice to our history of transportation, as well as the future of transportation in our area. The deepening of the port, the possibility of the I-10 bridge, the expansion of containerized shipping, and the burgeoning aerospace industry will all benefit from this relationship. Fourth, the University of Alabama, as designated by the Alabama Constitution as our flagship university, brings resources of influence through its academic, alumni, and government relationships. All of those will help us. And fifth, there is also great interest in the museum itself, both its educational aspect and the fact that it is an attraction to our citizens on the waterfront. There is certainly the possibility of engagement at the University of Alabama in that area as well. As you may or may not know, the University of Alabama has its own museums, and they have a museum director who's already been down here, who will also help us with some ideas to help market the museum better, and also to probably bring some people down and use it. I'm going to close with this. I've been on the board since 1996, so I've seen a lot and learned a lot, but I do remember this. It was always the intention that Gulf Quest would not only be a premier opportunity to showcase our maritime industry through exhibits, but also to house entities that would bring more resources. 1 minute left. Oh, I'm sorry.
I am so sorry.
Oh, that was second. I missed it. Okay. I missed the first one.
I'm listening intently, but your time has expired. I'm so
All right,
sorry.
I apologize.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, it might not be the appropriate time for this, but when I learned about this Transportation Institute and hearing Marietta with more information, I think it's really exciting. It's something that I think most of us really didn't have much information about. But the other side of it is when you, now I'm saying apparently because it's not open yet and not done yet, but you know, you could walk into the museum and see University of Alabama signage, and who knows, maybe we could hear the fight song and, you know, all that sort of thing. Can you imagine all the alumni walking in there to see that? That would be pretty entertaining in and of itself, and you know, just something else that could go with having you know, that footprint here in Mobile. So anyway, sorry to interrupt.
May I respond?
Yes, ma'am.
You will see University of Alabama signage. I've seen the plans. They are already paying rent, but they have a really nice signage. So as you walk in, you will look up and you will see that.
All right. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
David Clark. We hadn't started yet. Start when you start.
Thank you so much. There's a PowerPoint.
Which one's the laser one being? Just go over there. Okay. Because that's as far as it maximizes. Hey, Vanessa.
Good morning, Mr. Vice President, City Council. I'm David Clark with Visit Mobile, 1 South Water Street, and as you know, we support the tourism for our great city. Cooper Riverside Waterfront Activation and Gulf Quest Maritime Museum are both pieces to a puzzle that will make one great puzzle for a tremendous city. A vibrant waterfront with leisure will play a significant role in our sustainability going forward and is going to make everyone more successful in Mobile. I'm going to ask you the question, what city in America does not use their waterfront for leisure? We don't. Great answer. Think San Francisco, think Savannah, Georgia, think Charleston, think New Orleans. Cooper Riverside in this area can be an iconic and authentic thing for us, and we're going to do it. Visit Mobile has been working with the city together this past year to find ways to make this work, ways to be iconic and again authentic, ways to be creative. Think fun, think experiential, think lodging tax, sales tax, economics, think sustainability in terms of work, living, and playing. A year ago, we began to imagine that and Visit Mobile graphics designer Trip put the little duck boat out there because we didn't have rock out there yet. This laser's not working, but it's right there. So now today, 4 weeks ago, y'all graciously added a dock. The idea being that one of these days, we might be able to have some commercial ecotourism from here to start celebrating some leisure and some fun from this wonderful space. 2 weekends ago, Wild Native Tours pulled up. And these last 2 weekends, they've been at full capacity, giving 1 and 2 Delta cruises to our Mobile citizens and our visitors. 1 week ago, the Perdido Queen, Captain Willie Jones from Hudson Marine in Orange Beach found out about this dock and some of the things we were doing. For leisure on the river, he says, look, I want to be in. I want to pull up with the Perdido Queen next January, February, maybe March, put 120 passengers on there and do some river cruises, dinner cruises, cocktail cruises, people cruises for your convention goers and your citizens in Mobile. He called me yesterday and he's applied for a business license. 3 weeks ago, John Gaz came to our office and we met from Mobile, a younger gentleman that's very tech savvy, and he has Fishing Chaos coming in a week before Mardi Gras, 30 famous fishermen with Discovery Channel because of this dock. That's Peter Miller, who has about 700,000 followers, and Sarah Salt at the bottom, who has about 250,000 followers. Discovery Channel is going to come in. They're going to give us millions of dollars of advertising for a platform. They're going to get a show with, they have 500,000 eyeballs per show. So I'm surmising it's millions of dollars of advertising for us because of that boat dock. Ecotourism is on fire, and it's only been 2 weeks. So let's not stop there. We've been working with the city for about the last 8 months on some type of bringing a food and beverage experience to the river, on the river, right by the river rail. How cool would it be to have a container bar or something to the like, a food and beverage experience that can get us moving forward, to watch the freighters, the cruise ships, the eco, and be part of the experiential thing, and be a part of Gulf Quest. It's right there. Why not just don't stop there? Why not a container market? You know, the McLeans were a really big family that sort of revolutionized container shipping. We move 500,000 containers out there a year. You know, those containers, I'm not saying it looks like that. It could look like something like that, retrofitted, and have some fun with that for people to buy. Waterfront activation has immense opportunity for us in that area to make everyone more successful. We have, eventually, it should like this every weekend and eventually every day. It should be loaded with activity. You know, if you think about what's to the north, 190,000 cruise passengers getting debarking annually. We have 250,000 convention goers or patrons just to the north. We have 100,000 cars going back and forth on I-10 daily, and we have 3.4 million visitors. We have a really big chance to make this something very special. We're passionate about it. We think it's going to make everyone more successful. And we're working with Gulf Quest right for some cross promotions with some posters and some coupons with Wild Native go back and forth to bring the visibility. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Any questions of Mr. Clark? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Richard Weevil.
Good morning, council members.
Good morning. Good morning.
My name is Richard Weevil at 1700 Government Street here in Mobile. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your past support for Gulf. I also would like to apologize that maybe our communication with you all has not been what it should be, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen again in the future. I've heard a number of comments around the city that possibly if Gulf Quest went dark, the loans really wouldn't be called and things like that. So I asked Preston Bolt, who is probably the premier bond lawyer in the city of Mobile, if not one of them, to do some research and give us an idea of what could happen. Preston was going to speak today, but he's out of town. So what he has given to me is the things that could happen if Gulf Quest goes dark. Number one, the grant funds, which are about $28 million. And these were funds given to the Gulf Quest to build a facility. Almost all of it was the original source, was earmarked within legislation approved by Congress that set out the required uses of the facility. The most important of those is that the facility be operated as a maritime museum to the public. In some cases also providing ferry services to the eastern shore. The city would be subject to a clawback of a significant portion of those funds if it ceased to meet those grant requirements. There's also a possibility that a default under these grants would adversely affect the city's eligibility for additional grant funds from whatever source. It could also affect the bond rating of the city. We've heard from a number of people in Washington, D.C. that it could have a tremendous effect on grants like on cleaning Broad Street, on as far as getting the port, the channel deepened, and also money on the bridge. If there's this big default on this loan, it's going to be noticed in Washington, D.C. Also, there are new market tax credits that have been sold around the country to individuals, and each one of those people would probably have to do an amended tax return, which again would develop a very negative light over the city. The last that was spoken to before is of the number of syndicate bank loans that were made for us to finish out a number of the exhibits and so get our startup. If that loan is in default, it could also trigger this domino effect. So just like the other members that have been up here, I would simply just ask that you all would join with the board, and together let's ask the mayor to offer an amendment to the budget to restore the funding for Gulf Quest. And I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Yes, sir.
Donnie Smith.
Yes, Council. My name is Donnie Smith, and I live at 2240 West Claremont Drive in Sims. I'm here today to talk to the City Council about, I happen to personally work for 2 bail bond companies here in town. I'm not here speaking on behalf of the bail bond companies. I'm talking on behalf of myself, and I think the City of Mobile, the State of Alabama, and the whole county. We're having issues with the city program, and as well. Chief Barber knows too. We are having problems. We get what we call forfeitures, you know, people we bond out of jail, and other bonding companies that we bond out of jail in Mobile, city bonds. And the city makes a lot of money off of bonds. They charge a state fee. I don't know what portion of that fee y'all get. That's something I've been asking for years, to provide me who gets what part of what fee, how much the city gets. But one of my main concerns is, I think we need to start at the lower level. That's what I'm trying to do. I make this a big deal. But what we're having a problem with, for instance.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you called in, you asked to speak about noise and open doors.
That's correct. I am getting to that.
Okay, well, we need you to limit your comments, if you don't mind,
Okay.
to what you signed into.
Okay, well, what it gets down to is we people that's arrested, say, in another municipality, say Chickasaw or Saraland, they have city warrants. Our police department will not go get them. Say, for instance, that's happened here recently. We had a woman that had 7 warrants. On each charge was $500. That's $3,500 that the bonding company had the possibility of losing, because the city of Mobile, that we pay business taxes, we pay city taxes.
Mr. Smith.
But what is that?
And it's not that what you're saying may not be of interest to us. It's that when you signed in,
Do I need to set up a personal meeting with you, sir?
No, sir, not with me, because I'm in control of any of that.
Okay.
But I'm just referencing what you signed into.
Okay.
Noise, and open doors. So do you have anything you want to offer about noise and open doors?
Well, the open doors is like I'm trying to get at. You got people sincerely and y'all not picking them up. That's money that you put them people back in jail. In some of these cases, when you rebond them out, if they rebond out, y'all get more money generated. This is something I'd like to talk to Chief Barber and Batiste and Judge Graddick.
Yes, sir.
I can't seem to get level, so I thought maybe if I come to the city council, we could get to that point.
Well, our public safety director is here, and if you could connect with him.
I would love to.
Well, he's right there. Mr. Director, if you would connect with him, he has some commentary he'd like to offer that would generate resources, and our finance director is sitting there. He handles the money.
Correct.
And so you got the 2 main men right there.
Yeah.
So if you could connect with them probably after the meeting,
if I could just get the opportunity.
that would probably be best.
I know they stay busy like y'all do and I do.
Yes, sir.
But I want to take out a moment of time, come back, because this is, I mean, our mayor says that we're going to have the city by 2020. It ain't going to happen if it keeps going this way.
Yes, sir.
Could I talk to you? Sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Daves?
Yes, thank you very much. I was waiting for the various speakers on the Gulf Quest matter to finish, and it appears that's happened. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's important for us to look back and see how we got here. And what's primarily happened is that things have not worked out the way everybody thought were going to work out when this project was launched. Excuse me. And the situation we're in, like it or not, at this particular point, is that the nonprofit cannot perform its obligations under its agreement with the city. That's where we are. The 2 indisputable facts, and there has been some dispute, but I think they're indisputable, is that the city's withdrawal of funding from Gulf Quest imperils the survivability of the nonprofit. I think that's absolutely clear. And the second indisputable fact is that the consequences of our failure to perform our contract with the federal government with respect to Gulf Quest has real, serious financial consequences for the city of Mobile. Now, this crisis was created when the council passed the budget it passed a few weeks ago. And I'm fully in favor of the council working mayor and working with the Gulf Quest board to find a resolution. But I don't think that it's appropriate for the council just to sit back and say the mayor needs to solve the problem. The council created the problem. The council needs to be a prime mover in solving the problem, which means going back and looking at the budget that was passed and see what adjustments can be made in that budget in order to restore the funding on the Gulf Quest. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson?
Okay. The council didn't create the situation that Gulf Quest found itself in. We don't know anything about Gulf Quest. Nobody came to us to report anything to us about Gulf Quest. We don't know your hours of operation. We don't know how many people attended. We don't know how much money you collected. We know this much, didn't any of it go toward, the city didn't get it. Whatever you collected didn't any of it come to the city. And if it wasn't enough for you to pay your employees, it's not going to matter because that's what you want the city to do. That's what you want the city to do. The city council took out because we had a contract with the Gulf Quest board saying that it was the Gulf Quest board responsibility to hire its employees and pay them. That's what the contract says. And the council took that out of the budget. Master Simpson came to us about 3 years ago because the board, I know Mike Lee was part of the group who came to us saying that they needed $1 million. If the city could give them $1 million, they believed they could remain solvent. And Master Simpson recommended against that to say it's time to repurpose the Maritime Museum. That I want to get a firm here to take a look at it to see how can we repurpose it so it will start to make money and become viable. The council agreed. That's what we heard of that. The next thing we knew, it was open. They had found some employees paid by the city, and in that contract it said the city will not hire any employees. There will be no employees over there hired by the city. You did have employees over there. It was a violation. It was a violation. But we had nothing to do with the way it reopened. The council had nothing to do with it. I haven't seen a plan from the board for you to go forward to try and become solvent. I haven't seen any plan for you all to do that. It has already been stated by our chairman that we are open to listen to whatever it is that you want to present. We will evaluate it. The council can't present it. Will have to be presented by the mayor. You have to submit whatever your plans are to the mayor, and the mayor will bring them to us, and then together we can look at it. But we don't have anything to look at. But let me tell you. Let me say some things to you that is certain to me. I've told this board more than once that I'm not going to keep giving city taxpayers money to the Maritime Museum Board when 54% of the citizens in the city of Mobile are African Americans. So the money that we give to y'all comes from 54% of it comes from African Americans. When you look at the board, it doesn't reflect this community. You recently put on an African American who does not even live in the city of Mobile. He stood here and quoted where he lived in Spanish Fort. Again, you've ignored the citizens in the city of Mobile. I'm not going to keep on doing that. And then look at the employees you had over there. Most of them lived in Baldwin County. Just look at it. We had one that come here and plead with us that was living in Baldwin County. He came here last week and plead with us. So where do you live? Baldwin County. I'm saying it's some things you all got to do. It may be your mentality that what could African Americans add to the museum? They don't know nothing about it. Museums, you can ask, she's gone. Karen Outlaw Atchison, she was sitting right there. She and I, over 30 years ago, served on the History Museum Board. And the History Museum Board was located where the Maritime Museum Board was. And the rationale from the board, who is Fred? What was some up the country Fred Richardson know about the museum board? The men, every one of them walked out. They walked out of the museum, 11 women. I'm the first African-American chairman of the History Museum Board. What could we do? I tell you what we did. We negotiated with the City of Mobile to move the History Museum from the Mardi Gras Museum to where it is now. We converted the museum from being a museum, a Civil War museum, to a museum that reflected the art and culture of all of the citizens in the City of Mobile. So whoever walked through that museum, at the end of that process, they would be validated and feel like, yes, my history is in this museum. It ain't where you come. You know why I came from Mexico? That's where my mother was when I was born. It's what you're going to do after you get here. Give hope a chance. You're going to need to add some African Americans on your board. And when you get ready to hire, I need to see them in the museum. Else I'm not voting. I'm not voting. You're not going to keep doing that. If you always do what you always did, you're going to get what you always got. Somebody got to tell you, and a lot fell on me. You got to do better, and we're going to do better. But we're not going to do better if you don't do better. We all got to do better. And that's what I'm going to be looking for. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mrs. Richardson.
Thank you.
Mr. Small.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Williams.
I truly appreciate everyone coming down and addressing us and helping the community understand what is, like I said earlier, a very important structure in our city. I can look back historically at the Museum of Art to make a kind of a scenario that when they were approached by their board of directors to improve that facility, the city borrowed money to actually make the construction. I forget what that was. It was part of a big bond issue for our art museum out at Langham Park. But the interior, according to the agreement, was to be, the funds were to be raised on the private side. And that group started out and fell short. And they came back to the city and said, because we were actively constructing at the time, that they did not have all of the funds. The city would not move off of the premise of not keeping that agreement identical to what it was initially. So it was my understanding that the museum board actually took the art and went to the bank and used their art as the collateral. But they were the owners of it, which is different. They already had a history here in town. But there was a very long period where that board paid down their loan. And I understand that they just recently received knowledge from the bank not too long ago that their loan is clear and finished. But that's a very similar partnership. When we entered the agreement with Gulf Quest in 2013, it was very clear, and that's why I asked your new board member if he was aware of it. It clearly stated the delineation between the city's own building, all of the bonds that were secured that, yes, came in, some of them from the federal government, to augment and build the foundation and to hold back the waterway. And it was about a $56 million, I think, build. Maybe it turned out to be a little bit more because I think another $3 million borrowed in more recent times. But The idea was that the janitorial, the utilities, and all of the employees would be paid by the board, and that the city was not responsible. When we got this budget, we had asked for the mayor to join us because we knew we had heard from the community about the library's shorting of $500,000, which they also were very stressed about. We heard from many other groups that we have performance contracts with, and they have certain things they have to do, and the city gives in return. And so it's trying to make sure that we are living up to the agreement, which now we are not living up to, because we did keep the $500,000 for utilities, and the janitorial contract just came to the city for $60,000 last week. So the city is still paying for all of that entity that we were not responsible for. And we also paid it last year and the prior year. So we were going into the third year of funding a significant amount of resource for your 501c3 and for the museum that we all are very aware of. I think it's time for the city council, the mayor, and for the board of trustees of your facility to sit down, and we have to renegotiate that agreement because we are in arrears of it, and we work with other 501c3 groups. We don't pay down their loans, to my knowledge, although I know it's kind of a pass-through if we do help and they have secured loans. But this council had no knowledge of the bank loans that you received in order to do your interior, to buy your museum quality exhibits. There's just a lot of things that we don't know about, that we were not responsible for, but we are all in this together. But I know that from a public standpoint, I got a lot of phone calls about the shortening of the library's funds. It was overwhelming, the number of emails and calls, and I had to balance, and that was the balance that I took based on our agreement. So it's time that everybody, since you're talking about a public building and public resources, that we become very transparent and open and sit down and try to move forward with the path that we all are very understanding of, because we all represent people that ask us a million questions. And when we don't know, it doesn't put a good light on what you're all trying to do. So the best we can do is to turn on that light and sit down. But the process really for an amendment does start in the mayor's office. That's also by our Zogby bill. We are not allowed to make an amendment, and I don't regret what I did with the resources that my office was shown and the priorities that were shown in order to transfer money around to make other things whole. And yes, it had repercussions on someone that landed on the other side of that. It's very clear. But it wasn't intentional, it wasn't mean-spirited, but it was a council coming together to try to do with the resources that's all we can do. We can't add money, and we certainly cannot do an amendment without the mayor's initiative. Thank you.
Mr. Small.
Thank you, Vice President Manzi. In our community today, and I really can say across the country, many of the youth, they act out because they don't get attention at home. So when they go to school, when they go to public places, they act out to get attention. That's why our jails are so full, our prisons are full, because the attention span of the youth, that they're not getting attention from home. So they go out and they act out to get attention. I have a boxer and I have a Doberman. If I don't pay them no attention, they act out. If I give one more attention than the other one get more jealous, and he or she want to act out on the other one. And what I'm getting at is that, in defense of majority of my colleagues on this council, to a statement where one of my colleagues have made, many of my colleagues have reached out to the mayor and asked for suggestions as where to, can we get funding for to restore, like the Ville Center and the library and et cetera. And, pretty much a lot of my colleagues did not get a response. So since we did not get a response, what we did was pretty much act out as in doing what to do, not in mean spirit. As my colleague stated, you know, she received hundreds of emails dealing with the library. I mean, I got hundreds of emails dealing with the Ville Center, going out in the public, people asking about the Ville Center. You know, going to several places, people asking about the Ville Center. And so pretty much, you know, we had to balance out what we can balance out. We reached out and say, hey, you know, my colleague to my right, Mr. Williams, stated last week, you know, he screamed for help. You know, no help came. So we had to do exactly what we had to do in defense of what my colleague had stated earlier. And we also put out a statement as in, you know, if this had destroyed anything, if this had hurt anything, you know, please come back to us and, you know, let us know. And we were willing to work with you to adjust what we need to adjust, amend what we need to amend. It's pretty much just transparency. As my colleagues have stated, nothing wasn't brought to us about GulfQuest. You know, pretty much what we hear about GulfQuest is just popped up in the blue or it catches us off guard. And we just like a deer in headlights. You know, our eyes are wide open. Right now, our eyes are wide open. This wasn't to us 2 or 3, 4 months ago. But, you know, when the budget was released, Ville Center was brought to us. The library was brought to us. So the thing we asking here on the council is pretty much transparency. And again, the council that did vote on that particular Tuesday did release a statement as to the mayor as if we need to go back and visit this budget or amend it. We are open. And still, I believe that I can speak on the majority of my colleagues. We're still open to this day to go back and do what we need to do with the mayor leading the way. Thank you, President Manzi.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Mr. Williams.
First of all, thank you all that came in support of GulfQuest. There appears to be a tremendous effort ongoing by a very capable group of professionals, and thank you for that. I think there is hope for the future of GulfQuest and, quite frankly, for final settlement of our budget. Please know that you were not a target of any council action. Simply were not. That you need only go to the recording and provide it to you if you like, of the Finance Committee meeting held several weeks ago. Before Ms. Ace went to France, just announcing that there would not be any action by the council until his return and we were to vote. It was at the end of that meeting that I asked the administration, after clearly spelling out, and this is all in the recording in its public record, you're welcome to it. Again, I have it and be glad to email it to you. Where I said, there will be unintended consequences if the council acts independently in achieving the objectives that we clearly laid out in that meeting. I mean, we laid it out by number, exactly, not in theory, exactly what we would like to do. Because what is really undisputable is that there was a minor difference between what the mayor worked 6 months in developing in the budget for 19 and what the council thought was the right thing to do with that budget, with that same budget. Minor changes only necessary, but the only way to do it right was to have the help of the administration. If it wasn't my personal plea, and if I hadn't gone back and reviewed it in the recordings, I wouldn't say it now. But it was to please help us to make sure that what you're talking about now and what this meeting has been about for an hour and a half did not happen. We had some objectives, and we looked to places where it was not obvious to us why that funding was being placed there and not in places where we thought it was more critical. You know, it's often said, believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. I don't know who said that. Probably some guy much smarter than I am. But I think it applies here today, that we all just take a step back, go back and read the law. And right now, the law says that the budget is in the mayor's hands, time for him to, and I'll be cooperative. I'm not poking anything in anybody's eyes here. It is simply the time in this process that the administration needs to come back and say, we heard what you said. Is there anything that's not negotiable in all of the things that you listed in the Finance Committee meeting and the things that you did on the budget vote? And let's talk in person instead of in Facebook. In places where not everyone's invited, let's do it up front in the public. Let's find a way to get around this, as well as other things that are separating the council and our mayor. We can do that. I'm willing to sit down with the mayor at any time, and I think anybody on this council is. So my plea does not end. I want you to be successful. I want the city to be successful. But it will not be at the expense of some of those objectives that the council agreed to during the process and at our budget meeting. That is the formal meeting where we went on the budget. Mr. Vice President, I appreciate it. And again, thank you all for coming and for all the work you're doing to make sure that Gulf Quest is successful.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. I do want to thank all of you for coming down today to speak with us, and also for reaching out to the members of the City Council. I spoke with at least 4 board members, and some more than once, and told them when we were discussing the budget and the council's vote, along with information about what's happening at Gulf Quest, I was not aware of these projects, the ongoing things that you all have going on. And so we learned pretty quickly that there has been a lack of communication, and I appreciate you all saying that today. Coming and speaking to the council to let us know what's going on with Gulf Quest, all of the new events, all the new tenants, and David Clark's presentation certainly are exciting. And we like hearing that, and it really truly does look like we are on the road to success. And I really appreciate that. In some of the discussions I had, I said, even though the budget comes out, and you may think that because your request is in there, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay there. So it is very important to speak with the council, let us know what's going on and what your needs are, and discuss the budget with us so that when it comes time to vote, we have a clearer understanding of those needs, just like every other performance contractor in the city does. Their budget request may be in there, but it doesn't stop them from coming and talking with us months ahead, because they know that budget's coming and they want to make sure that we all understand what their needs are and that their request is met or not met in this case, because a lot of the performance contractors' request had been cut. So communication really is key, and I appreciate you all coming today and speaking with us and saying these things, because it's what we all needed to hear. And again, I think what you all are doing truly shows you are on the road to success, and that will be a success for the city. Mrs. Rich brought up the contract that the city has with the board, and because it does look like the city will need to continue funding the museum to make sure that that success comes, in order not to have these discussions about the contract, a renegotiation probably would be the best thing to do, and I think we can make that happen. So if the board can get together with the mayor can bring it to us, and we will certainly look at it, and that should help things along as well. So again, I just appreciate you all doing this. I know some of our discussions were, we need to get the council and the mayor and the board members in a room and let's talk about these things. Unfortunately, members were out of the country, and we just weren't able to pull that off. So the discussion we had today, I think, certainly helps, opens all our eyes, and we are open to more discussion and working with you all as best we can. So as soon as the mayor brings us that amendment, then we will be willing to look at it and make sure that if everything is full about it, and I'm sure it will be, that we will give it due consideration and hopefully get it approved.
Any further comments? Madam Council Attorney, did you have something you wanted? You didn't. I thought you indicated that you. Well, let me say, GovQuest is in the heart of District 2. It's a jewel on the coast of the city of Mobile. And for GovQuest to fail is for this city to fail. And there is no failure in the city of Mobile. I don't believe in it. We've just got to find a way to do what we need to do on an agreed upon amount of time. I've heard a lot of commentary from my colleagues. About 98% of them I agree with. One thing that I am strong on is I don't believe it's this council's intention for this level of funding to be a permanent part of the city's budget. That's untenable. That isn't what we signed on to. I don't believe that's what this board is expecting. I'm asking Madam City Clerk, if you will, we have been asked by this board to join in with them in asking the mayor to bring a budget item. I'd like for your first order of business, this is our one employee, I'd like for your first order of business when you return to the office to draft a letter on behalf of the majority of this council, asking that the mayor would give the bringing of a budget amendment on behalf of, at the behest of the GovQuest board and this council, his most urgent attention. It's his, the ball is in his court. We asked for help before we passed the budget. We received help in some instances, none in other instances. We wrote all kind of letters. I could send all of that to you all. All kind of letters asking for information. And we received some, but we didn't receive the help that Mr. Williams in particular all but pleaded for, which is, these are our priorities, these are where the cuts are. Now help us navigate through your proposed budget so that we don't have what we have here today. And so the ball, to use a sports analogy, is in the mayor's court. And we're willing to play, but it's in his court. And we want you to summarize that in a letter and get that to Mayor Stimson as soon as possible, so that this knows that we're taking action and that the ball is in the court of the Honorable William S. Stimson.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Richardson.
Can you have her to CC members of the GovQuest board?
Every last one of them, the members of the council, so that we're all on the same page. Starting out with the level of communication that we really should have had from day one. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We can continue.
One last speaker, George McCall, regarding Resolution 404758. This is the street dedication.
All right.
Which one? Street dedication.
Good afternoon, council members. Good afternoon. My name is George E. McCall Jr., 530 Singleton Street, Pritchard, Alabama. I'm here on the behalf of the members of the Liberty Missionary Baptist Church, requesting a street change name in the behalf of our honor pastor, Dr. May. The street is Oak Drive, which is the side entrance of Liberty Missionary Baptist Church. It's located between Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue and St. Stephen's Road. And the members of the Liberty is requesting that if we could put a honorary sign in his name. Dr. May has served there 37 years as the pastor. The church and the members a long way from North Ann Street to MLK, and had did many of things for the community in helping the youth, giving them a safe environment to have activities. We built a family life center where the community can come in to come off the street, where we'll have a safe environment for the youth, so they won't be in no bad environment. Also, we have a missionary apartment that's within that center where we take in burnout families in the middle of the night and house them temporary, disasters victims, to house them for temporary till they're able to get back up on their feet. So Dr. May had did a minister of things in the community and still is working with the youth in the community as well as the seasoned peoples that are in the community, in a health, in a spiritual, mentoring to them and giving them advice of way of living and trying to make the community more safer than what it is. Take the bad elements off the street and trying to turn it into a good element. I have known Dr. May for 39 years, and he is a capable person to help people. He's always willing to help whoever he can. So we, on the behalf of the church, we are requesting for this street sign to be named in his honor as Dr. Clyde May Jr. And if approved, this request is approved by this council, if possible, if we can get a letter of proclamation to present to him on this coming Sunday to be our 106th year anniversary, to recognize him. I would appreciate your thought and consideration in this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice President,
Mr. Small.
I was going to apologize to Mr. McCall for waiting so long to present to this council, but he truly do understand because he is the former council member in Pritchard, Alabama. Right. And I'm sure he's seen plenty of meetings like this before.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Good to see you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. CIP resolutions held over 21739, authorized contract of Harris Contracting for Miller Park field lighting. 21740, authorized contract of Modular Concepts for the Sullivan and Hope Community Centers gymnasium flooring replacement. 21742, authorized contract with MyCore Inc. construction for the James Seals Junior Park Pavilion.
Second.
Properly motion in the discussion.
Yes.
Mrs. Rich?
If I could just comment on the soccer fields that we're looking at 3 fields to be lit. This is a 2-year budget program now. We had it in 17 and in 18, so we've combined it to do 3. It was originally started out as 1, but it'll improve the other 2 with the lighting as well. But one thing I'd like to bring to the administration stand is, or attention rather, is the fact that the soccer groups that would like to utilize the program, if there could be some greater communication with our Parks and Recreation Department so that they are able to actually get out there and have team play and youth soccer playing on those fields, some kind of agreement. It was United Soccer City, I might have their name incorrect, but they had approached my office about utilization, but they weren't able to work anything out with the city. But with these kind of amenities going up for the field, I hope that there could be something worked out in the near future for their, proper use and vitality in the community and the need for that practice and youth soccer. Thank you.
And I'd just like to make the comment about the gym floor replacing. The replacement that will be taking place at Sullivan and Hope, long overdue. Appreciative of all the hard work of city staff, Kim in particular, in bringing these items to the agenda. excited about the pavilion that'll be going up at James M. Seals Jr. Park, something that community has been requesting for well over 10 years. We're finally in a position to bring that to bear, and hopefully that will be in a minute that they'll use for many years to come. Again, thank you, Ms. Harden, and to all of the staff, Brad Christensen, and all the staff that works so hard to bring these CIP items onto the agenda. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Items passed.
Resolutions held over. If there's no objection, I'll take all of these together. 01717, authorize agreement with Republic Parking System to provide management services for on-street parking in downtown Mobile. 21743, authorized contract with Dobson Sheet Metal and Roofing for the Outlaw Convention Center South Tower skylight repairs. 01744, approve the intergovernmental agreement between City of Mobile and Mobile County regarding 2018 Triple Road improvements. 01745, approve an intergovernmental agreement with Mobile Housing Board for assistance with administration, planning, and development to be provided by the city.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. On the intergovernment contract between the city and the Mobile Housing Board, I have reservations about this. I know they're in a position over there where they don't have any leaders. They don't have a director, and all of the positions underneath the director, they are vacant also, and they need leadership over there. And they're asking us to let our housing manager work with them for 1 year. I have a problem with this 1 year. I probably don't have support for 6 months, but it's to me that what they're gonna have to do is hire the leaders that they don't have. And it doesn't take a year to fill those positions. They don't have a director, hire one. They don't have an assistant director, hire one. They have the money to hire who they need to hire. But to keep our man over there for a year is just giving them more chance not to hire anybody, and they can wind up in the same position a year down the road as they are in now. I'm going to go ahead and support this, but it's against how I feel about this. I have made some motion about having to do this, but I want to express how I feel about this. I think it's time for the housing board to take leadership and put out perspectives and who they need to run the housing board. And not we've had all kind of vacancies here in the city of Mobile. And the person they want to come over there, we hired him after the director of that department left. In about 3 weeks, we had him here. We kept on going. They can do the same thing. And it's not going to get any better until they do better. Thank you.
Yes.
Mrs. Rich?
Thank you. As a member of the committee that looked into this particular process, I know that there were some minor changes made by our council attorney, and I want to be assured that that is actually the one that we're voting on. Okay, thank you. I just didn't know if it could be swamped out or whether we needed to make those. And I know that they were minor amendments, but I think time is of the essence with this, and I respect any council person's position, but knowing that there is an very big outside force, the federal government and their housing authority, looking at our HUD authority here, their pass-through authority, our housing board. They need help. It was very evident they need help. Also made up of very good citizens who are on that board. But if we can help and it comes back in a year, it can be reviewed. We can get updates perhaps, knowing that we have this relationship with their board, for the council to be aware of, what's going on as far as all of those positions that they've now made clear. I think it was 10 upper management positions that are vacant. And so they need this support from the city, and this is really the best case scenario at this juncture. So I will certainly support it and hope that other council members do the same. Thank you.
Yeah. Chair.
Mrs. Gregory?
Thank you, sir. I too was at the committee meeting. I chaired the committee meeting, and a lot of the questions that have been raised came up during that meeting. First off, I do want to thank Jamie Roberts for his expertise in bringing this solution, albeit short-term, if you look at the one-year contract as it is now, but bringing this solution for the intergovernmental policy to us to help resolve what's going on. We were told that the Housing Board has been leaving $5 million on the table every year, and that's because they don't have enough units. So what we are doing with this agreement is to lend resources so that that doesn't happen. There will be a master plan to look at all of the housing units in the city and to do a better job of making sure that everyone is living where they want to live, in either apartments or homes that are updated, that are new, and that are livable. There are some housing developments within our city now that are truly atrocious, and nobody should be living there. So this will be a great opportunity for us to work together and do what we should be doing and should have been doing all along. Also, I wanted to say that the initial agreement that we looked at the committee meeting and that was first introduced was for 1 year with constant renewals without it coming back to the council. So 1 year truly is a compromise in and of itself. And I will support it as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory.
Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Small and then Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I have some weary and concerns about support today, but I will go forth with it. But I'm going to put out my concerns out on today. As many conversation has been taking place about this before us on today, in the conversation, I heard conversation between tax credit, developers, the housing board been leaving, $5 million, every year on the table. Some of that is, I can believe in, some of it I don't, because I can come out and say, not saying that Mr. Roberts is wrong about this, but I can say that even $15 million, on top of the table every year. Or I can say we leave dollars on top of the table every year. I do understand that, the Mobile Housing Authority has been on scrutiny with the HUD for years. It's not just, recent. This has been going on for years. And, pretty much the board members that are present now all have been presented by our mayor. I'm trusting and believing that, we would get back on track real soon. My concerns is that I really have is really gentrification, within, our city. Looking at District 3, we have several homes in District 3, Birdsville, Thomas James, RV, and Oaklawn Homes, which is also known as 1010 Baltimore Street. Birdsville have many units that is open to the public, open windows, open doors. I have made several calls to the housing board when I first got on council about this, because my concerns was about an elementary school is located right in front of Birdsville on Dolphin Island Parkway, Maryville Elementary School. My concerns is that the kids will be walking to or from school, and somebody that's insane would grab those kids and do some type of harm in the Birdsville community. There have been crime that had been taking place in the Birdsville community that has the open doors and the open windows. There I had many citizens call and complain about the open doors and the open windows in the Birdsville community. My question is, when is this going to be addressed? I mean, if we're looking at tax credits, we're looking at developers, we're looking at master plans, and, you know, what about this? As we drive down 1 I-65, you look over there to the left if you're coming towards down, or to the right if you're going towards 65, you have the Happy Hill community that's been standing up there for many years empty. Many of the windows and doors are open up in the Happy Hill community. Then if you drive down St. Stevenson Road at MLK, a year and a half ago, Roger Williams was standing up with tenants. If you look today, it's completely empty. It's cleared out. It's got gates up. You know, my question is, why is not gates around Birdsville? Why is not gates around Happy Hill? But, you know, it seems like a whole lot of emphasis is going on 3 Mile Creek. And, you know, I'm saying, okay, you know, what is actually going on here? And then, you know, when the city first was awarded the Tiger Grant, the first phases of the Tiger Grant was along Beauregard to Broad Street, all the way to District 3. Once it leaves District 3, then it was going to MLK Avenue. Well, recent, you know, going over the Tiger Grant program is going to start at Beauregard for the first phase, but the second phase is not going to continue on Broad Street. Right in the second phase is going to MLK. And I'm just going to put it out here that I'm be very cautious and watching to see what actually going to go on with the Roger Williams the area, because you got so much emphasis going on MLK, you got so much emphasis going on 3 Mile Creek. We have other areas of the city that's in desperate need also, especially in the Birdsville community. Those citizens don't deserve to be like that. And, you know, again, I'm be very cautious, be very watchful, because, you know, I heard that it was no master plan yet. So if it wasn't no master plan, how do we have developers that might be potentially losing tax credit? It's a whole lot more questions out there, but I do understand that the Housing Board is under strict on the HUD, and, you know, I know they need some help, immediate help. And I don't want the citizens that I represent, you know, at 1010 Baltimore Street, Oakland Homes, Thomas James, Birdsville, or RV to suffer. So I'm going to vote yes with this today, but just be very put on notice that I'm be very watching to see exactly what this master plan is going to produce, what area of town is this going to produce at, and again, what citizens is going to benefit. The citizens that live in the homes and the different developers. Vice President Manzi.
Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I have to admit that I've been puzzled by the amount of time the council has been consumed by this measure before us. Despite what was heard earlier, the city of Mobile is in good shape. Financially and otherwise. There are some bumps in the road, but we'll get over them. But the situation is entirely different with the Mobile Housing Board. It is in crisis. It has been in crisis for years. There is no management. And to the extent the city can provide assistance to them, to the Housing Board, during this period of time, I think it's absolutely incumbent upon us to do it. And it's not going to be resolved in 6 months. It's not going to be resolved in a year. It's going to take years to resolve multiple years of mismanagement. So I think we have beat this horse till there's nothing left but bones on it, and we need to go ahead and pass this mess. Thank you.
Amen.
Well,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Richardson.
It's the difference between mismanagement and no management. They have no management. There's nobody over there to mismanage because you don't have no management. But we had management 5 years ago. There was management over there. Every member of that board been changed out. Every one of them. So it was a new day. Then they fired all of the managers, or they quit. And here we are before this council. It's the first time, I've been on this council 22 years. Nobody ever come to the council asking for help. Please send us somebody. We don't know what to do. We are lost. There ain't no mismanagement in the past. That's having to do with right now. Right now, the board can change this tomorrow. We can do it. So I got a question. I'll be through with this. If the situation remains the same after 1 year, I want to ask our attorney, can the city take housing board into receivership? Do we have to wait on HUD to take it in receivership? And once we know what's happening, with our eyes wide open, can the city take the housing board into receivership and redo what we don't needs to be done?
I don't know.
Can
that issue is not related to this contract.
Oh, I understand that.
This contract is the vehicle by which the city can do planning with the housing board and pledge its CDB money and home money.
But if all of what we voted on failed, we are back at the same situation. If we're back here with no leaders, none of that, then I want to know, can the city take it into receivership? You don't have to answer today.
I'll be happy to look at that for you.
That's what I would love for you to do for us. Thank you.
Thank you. My colleague says we have beat this horse to his bones. Well, I want to give the bones another try. I want to let me have a go at that set of bones. This issue has taken up an inordinate amount of time. That's for sure. Particularly to two or three, especially three members of this council, because it's our districts where the housing projects are. Right. Well, I didn't interrupt you. It's our districts where the housing projects, housing developments are. And what I have seen is a history of displacement, where we tear down and move people all out of where they are not indigenous to. And I'm going to ring that bell. I'm going to continue to ring it. I'm going to be watchful and weary of displacement and gentrification, because I know that there are those who have alternate plans for some of these sites. And so I know Jamie Roberts. I've worked with him now, what, 2 years? 3? Jamie Roberts is a consummate professional. I know Raymond Bell, consummate legal professional. I know Norman Hill with the Mobile Housing Board. I don't know who HUD could be sending down here. And I don't know what their plan is. So absent me knowing that, I have this contract that our council attorney has worked to tweak to make certain that there are certain protections and things of our interest embedded in the contract. Now this housing business, particularly among low to moderate income residents in the city of Mobile, is serious business. What our citizens are living in some of these projects and these housing developments is deplorable. And Happy Hill is happy hell. It's awful. I rode through that for a community meeting last Thursday night, going to the Green Grove Missionary Baptist Church, and I was embarrassed that those citizens who keep their yards neat, who pay taxes, have to look at that filth and that monstrosity that the housing board has left there for years. And I don't know of any plan to do anything with it. And they come to me in the church. Imagine trying to go to church. Lady described, Reverend, I done put on my nice clothes, invited my family to go to church. We all dressed up, and we got to drive by all of this in order to get to our place of worship. Nowhere else in the city of Mobile are conditions like that. And it's embarrassing. So if this agreement can do something, anything, to remedy that problem, it deserves support from me. I'm going to be watching. We're going to be having our entitlement committee meetings, Mr. Roberts. We're going to want to know what you're doing. And I'm letting you know that up front. But the citizens of this community deserve better. And if you don't believe me, get in your car, go down the interstate, turn over there into Happy Hill and see what you see. See, would you stay there? And in the midst of all that, there still was hope. In the midst of all of that, there still was positive attitudes. And so while I have some concerns, it's clear that the Housing Authority needs help, and I know Jamie has the ability to provide that help. So I'm going to support this agreement. But what I'm saying to Mr. Hill, when I had to finally see a member of the Housing Board here, and any other member of the Housing Board, as we prepare the bill, we want nice, new, modern, we want all of those amenities, but we want them where they've traditionally been. We don't have to take all of that out to West Mobile and just leave large swaths of land and buildings vacant in the inner city. It disrupts our school populations, it disrupts our church populations, it disrupts the harmonies of our communities. And I don't believe that's the intent. That isn't what we ought to be about. So that's my, any other comments?
Ready for the vote?
Hearing no further comment, we will vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Consent resolutions being introduced for the first time, 4746 through 46758.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 4746 759.
Second.
Through 46758.
Right.
Same second.
46758.
Second.
Probably motion is second. This motion includes the item for Oak Drive and honorarily renaming it for Dr. Clyde May Jr. Please let Dr. May know that we will provide what you requested, and to thank him for his many years of spiritual leadership and leadership in general in our community.
This is for consent right now.
If there are no objections, I'll take all of these together.
Yep.
Please.
746, 747 are declaring structures public nuisances and ordering them demolished. 6748, determine expenditure of discretionary funds for contribution to Regency Park Homeowners Association serves a public purpose and approve payment. 03757, reappoint Dr. Louis C. Wilson to the Medical Clinic Board of the City of Mobile, Spring Hill. 46758, give Oak Drive the honorary name of Dr. Clyde May Jr. Way.
Did we need to vote on the consent, a motion?
Oh, I thought we did.
No.
I thought we did too.
No.
Okay, so we have the suspension of the rules, consent motion.
Is there?
It was motion and second.
It was motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, and then the
There we go.
resolutions as read.
Yep.
Right.
So we'll move.
You're rocking.
Is there a second?
Second.
Probably motion second. Any discussion? Not. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Wait a minute now, you're not going to discuss Clyde?
I did.
Okay.
Oh, I already thanked him for his many years of spiritual and general leadership in this community.
All right.
CIP resolutions being introduced for the first time, 21749.
This resolution was leveled for 1 week by council rules.
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 21750 through 60755.
Those resolutions were leveled for 1 week by council rules.
Call for public hearings, 41756. Call for public hearing to rezone property at the northeast corner of Papal Mill Road and Africatown Boulevard from B2, R2, and I2 to I2.
So move.
Second.
And probably motion is second. Madam City Clerk, any discussion? Madam City Clerk, if you could get some contact information for the person making this application, I would like to contact them.
Kimberly Clark.
Okay.
Kimberly Clark. Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements.
What else could be said?
Mr. Williams?
No.
Mr. Small?
Thank you, Vice President. We'll be joining the Maysville Community Action Group tonight at Revelation Baptist Church at 6 o'clock p.m. They have requested Captain Jones to come to their meeting and talk about crime in the community. Again, that will be tonight, inviting all the citizens of Maysville to come out to Revelation Baptist Church tonight in the Family Center at 5 p.m. Hear from the Captain Mel Jones of the 1st Precinct. Thank you, Vice President Manzi.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes. On this coming Thursday night, there will be an important meeting for residents in and around Avon Park. We're going to have a meeting at the Booker T. Washington Elementary School at 6 o'clock, and we're going to talk about amenities that's already at Avon Park, and we're going to talk about what's coming and give the citizens a chance to speak about what they would like for us to do in the future. That meeting is going to be Thursday night at 6 o'clock at Booker T. Washington Elementary School, starting at 6 o'clock.
Mr. Davis?
Thank you. I would like to remind everybody of the District 5 Community Meeting, which is this evening at 6 o'clock p.m. at Westminster Presbyterian Church, which is at the corner of Sage Avenue and Airport Boulevard. We will have the Public Safety Director, Mr. Barber, and the Acting Public Services Director, Mr. Peavy, there. The Mayor has been called away and will not be with us tonight. I intend to talk about the District 5 Capital Improvement Plan, including discussing the results of the survey I sent out to every single household in the district earlier this year, gathering input for the District 5 Capital Improvement Plan. That's this evening, 6 o'clock, Westminster Presbyterian Church, Sage and Airport. Thank you.
Mrs. Rich?
Thank you very much. November 6th, at this council meeting, there will be the Quilts of Valor, one given to a recipient from the Mobile Police Department, the other from Mobile Fire Rescue Department. Again, it will be at our council meeting November 6th. On November 8th, the Senior Center will have its 10th anniversary, the Connie Hudson Senior Center, from 4 to 6. Come out and celebrate. And I invite my colleagues to join me at that wonderful occasion in that great facility. The District 6 community meeting will be November 29th at 6:30, also at the Connie Hudson Senior Center. It'll include an update from Public Safety, the Police Chief, and our Public Safety Director, and I'm hoping the 2 commanders from the 2 precincts that's the district will be present as well. We'll go over the Greenlot Road median beautification initiative, which is with the Alabama Urban Forestry Association, our city urban forestry department, and also District 6 discretionary funds that have been compiled over the last 3 years, and those plans will be presented. Also, there will be Commissioner Hudson and I think someone from the Love Your Community program, which is giving citizens an avenue to beautify city streets and neighborhoods, and she'll have all of the equipment and explain that program as well. And I look forward to seeing as many citizens from the district that can possibly attend. Again, that's Thursday, November 29th at 6:30 at the Connie Hudson Senior Center. Thank you.
Mrs. Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Manzi. December 10th is my annual Christmas meeting at the Mobile Museum of Art. We will start at 6 o'clock. We will again recognize our different community action groups and homeowners association along with our first responders. And we are again inviting the Mary B. Austin Singers to come for some entertainment. They were terrific last year, were really the hit of the entire meeting. So as soon as it gets closer, we'll begin sending out our letters and postcards to remind everybody of the date. And before I forget, I think Thursday evening, David, and I'm glad you're still here, you have your annual Visit Mobile meeting, 3:30? 3 o'clock. Everyone here is invited. Hope you'll have great attendance and go over everything wonderful that you all have been doing. We appreciate all of your work and just look forward to many more years ahead of great success. Thank you, David.
I'd like to ask that Mrs. Gregory, Mrs. Rich and Mrs. Gregory would work toward organizing a retreat as council. We are fastly approaching the end of our first year of the 4-year term. I think this would be an opportune time for us to kind of hit the reset button. There's a lot of changes and challenges that we've had to overcome the last 12 months, but we've done it. I still think this is the most impactful progressive council in the history of the city of Mobile, and a retreat will only make us stronger. We want to invite the mayor and members, pertinent members of his administration to participate to the degree that it's necessary. So if you all would begin working on that, that would be helpful. Tonight, I will be having my 50th community meeting at Hope Community Center, 6 p.m. I look forward to discussing the various issues, long-standing issues that have been plaguing the community of Plateau with those citizens tonight, and coming up with plans to remedy as much as fiscal resources and manpower will allow us to remedy. That concludes my announcements. I feel like I'm missing something. Mr. Williams.
Thank you very much. I heard many pleas and the desire to have that Rules Committee meeting as soon as possible. So I have coordinated with the body that makes up that Rules Committee, and we are in agreement, I believe, for 1 o'clock next Tuesday, and at the we will be there for 1 hour and 15 minutes. And I will adjourn 1 hour and 15 minutes. We're going to get to work. I just ask come prepared. And if you have things prior to the committee meeting, we can send out to administration or to our council for consideration. Let's do that in this next week so that hour and 15 minutes is as productive as possible. Thank you.
Can I comment?
Mrs. Rich?
As a member, I know I would appreciate, and hopefully every member, a copy of our current rules, so we'll have something that we're all familiar with on how those rules read today that we adopted at the beginning of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs.
Is this
Rich. Mr. Davis?
Is this a whole review of the rules, or I thought the primary issue was the rules for signing in to speak?
There is a primary issue.
Primary reason is, and the reason we are meeting, the reason we decided to meet was the rule concerning people addressing the council, but certainly we didn't want to miss an opportunity to address any changes necessary to the rules.
That's right. Yeah. It's about time. Any other comment? Well.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? Well, if there's no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We might need a roll call vote.
You can
might need a roll call.
Stick around.